Hi, it's Anthony here. So, this discussion went on for a lot longer than what we usually do, so we decided to split this episode to two parts. Both parts should be available to listen to right now on whatever platform you listen to. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hard Knock Hawks. I am Anthony, along with my other three hosts, Chris, Leon, and Marco. Today, we are going to be talking about the last week of games where the Hawks went 1-3 overall. They lost twice against the Wizards at home and on the road, and they also lost against the Sacramento Kings at home as well. But the Hawks did redeem themselves a bit with arguably their best win of the season against the New Orleans Pelicans. As of right now, the Hawks are the seventh seed. They have the ninth ranked offense and the 26th ranked defense, according to Cleaning the Glass. I'm going to start with this. Everyone's prediction on what we would think would be the record from the last four games was completely wrong. Even I got my conservative prediction of 2-2 wrong. I don't think anyone expected how badly the injuries would affect the Hawks. Uh,
No, I said we would go three and one, three
one third, yeah,
losses and one win.
yeah. Well, yeah, everyone
You
got
got it
one
backwards.
win
You
right.
got it
Everyone got
backwards.
one win right. But I'll start with Leon first. What did you see from the Hawks during this 4 game stretch that we went from 1-3?
I saw them manage the situation that they were in pretty all right. There was definitely some highs and some lows. Um, Jalen had a stinker in there. Trey had a stinker in there, but they stayed the course. I think one of the main things was throughout these 4 games, they fought back in some games that they still lost, but I saw a team that kind of stayed together, and we didn't really let the wheels fall off because it is a long season and this is just the beginning of it. I saw Jalen really begin to really hit the ground running. He really put his foot to the pavement and has just strung together a number of pretty good games. So I mean, those are the things that are most important. And Zach's just young. The defense is real, and that is beginning to prove itself more and more as the games go on. We just got to figure out that 3 point shot, and I expect it to come around at some point.
Uh, 1 second. Sorry, I had to light up this Pelicans pack real quick because the boys finally got a dub. 1-3 wasn't ideal, but it was good to see them fighting. Like Leon mentioned, they really could have folded mentally, and I don't think that ever happened for the team. Like they kind of fell apart down the stretches in those games, but not out of like just out of exhaustion. Just it was difficult to rework the rotations. I think Quinn might have been a little stubborn, but we did see him try a few things in each of those games, try to figure out the formula, and you saw Keaton Wallace step up, which I think was maybe the bright spot and kind of is the thing that gets you through those losses, right? Keaton finally got some minutes and really looked good. He looks like a great backup for Trey, and he's allowed him to get a lot of rest tonight, which I think factored into that win. They went in the third quarter down, but came out immediately, took the lead, uh, put it on him. Trey got some rest. The team had a really nice run while he was out, and they were able to put it away when he came back in and get him off the floor. So um, we're already seeing the extra minutes to some of the younger guys paying dividends with players growing already. So it was rough, but we made it through, and they got a dub. So
Yep. These last few games have been something. As I've been preaching on my Twitter, man, these guys are tired. You can't expect them to play perfect games, full 4 quarter perfect. When everybody's needing an oxygen tank, you can tell when Trey is looking tired too because he like doesn't even try to run anymore. But tonight they didn't let that happen. They kept their foot on the gas the whole game. They like Chris said, they didn't mentally get out of it. They made sure to stay on top of their game and fine with that. Jalen is finally waking up. I told people don't worry about Jalen. He'll realize that he's the second option eventually, and we're glad it's happening now instead of later in the season. Season. Zach is still finding himself the shot. He looks fine on defense from what I've seen in some of the games. He's looked very okay on defense. Sometimes he'll get a little lost, but it comes with the game. He's showing you he can score in other ways. He did a grown man pump fake today. There's no way all three of them should have jumped on that one pump fake, but he did a grown man pump fake. So he's showing you he can score in other ways, and that's all that matters for that. Trey's being Trey, trying to get everybody involved. Think he averages like 12 assists in the last 4 games, 12, 13. Yeah, so liking what I'm seeing from the 4 game minus the injuries.
I think the way the Hawks have basically handled these like last 4 games has been very interesting. Like there were two very, very frustrating games, in my opinion. Both I'm talking about both of the Washington games. In my opinion, they were winnable games, but it was clear that they did not have like the defensive capability to be able to just stop Washington at that time. And at that point, it was just obvious that everyone, including Trey especially, was just too tired right now during this point of the season. A very interesting fact about during this stretch of the season is that Trey has played more than three. I mean, Trey has played 3 games with more than 40 minutes played already, and he has only played. And last season he played 6 games with 40 minutes plus played already. Last season, I mean, so that means he's already halfway there from last season's total. So I think um, them they need to find some way to manage this fatigue factor with these injuries in order to win more games. And we're gonna talk about that later with other players like Keen Wallace, which is probably like the main thing that they discovered during this 4 game stretch is how they were able to introduce these new players into Quinn's system and able to develop them more overall. But I do also want to ask y'all out since we just saw the recent Pelicans game. Did you did you think that was probably the most impressive win of the season so far for the team?
I'll take this first.
Yeah.
No, simply because they were hurt too. Um,
I mean that's
it
fair,
was
yeah,
it
but
was hospital versus hospital tonight.
like
So it was a good win. I can't lie, because if you compare it to the Wizards games, granted on paper with what we had left, you still should be able to beat the Wizards, but we didn't beat the Wizards. But then we go back to tonight, you get one of your main defenders back. We beat we beat the other hurt team, so it's weird. Hey man, I'm just saying. I wouldn't call it the best win. We're probably if we beat the Celtics tomorrow, I'll call it the best win because we're hurt, and
yeah.
it'll feel better because now I
Well,
can
I
talk.
mean, it's the best win so far. Is it the best win so far?
It's the
Yeah.
best win so far. I don't know. I kind of liked it. The
I
home
mean,
one.
I think it's the best win so far because one, they were really good defensively and they just showed they were with especially with Dyson, they were actually able to apply those defensive principles that they've been like trying to like preach like the whole season. Like they were able to get up a bunch of threes. You saw Jalen almost had like a triple double, which we'll talk about later with Jalen's like continued improvement. It's a bunch of stuff that I think the Hawks can eventually build on, especially with so many injured players right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think, well, I said it earlier that I think this was probably their best win in terms of two-way basketball. The offense was running well. Jalen was comfortable and was being aggressive. And as the game went on, you saw him getting downhill more and more, especially in that third quarter stretch. He really was attacking the rim and gotten to his bag. Keaton played some really good minutes tonight. Dyson played some great minutes. You saw Dyson and Zach really getting after Bi around midcourt, causing some mayhem and chaos. And stuff you want to see, right? The process was there, I think, on both ends. Larry Nance hit a couple threes, so you got to see what it was like with a bit of a 5-out. He played 25 minutes. I think Dyson took 5 threes, Garrison took 6, Trey 10. I think Jalen's around 4 and Zach took 5, so they were getting them up, but they were also getting to the rim. Zach was playing well. You saw some shots that you thought should have went down, and hopefully next year he dunks a couple of them because he was getting really close to the rim. But yeah, no, I thought they looked really good. I think they were clearly energized, getting Dyson back, then going to play his former team. He and Larry Nance were both into the game. Yeah, Jalen and Trey finally had good games at the same time. I think that's something that I think for them psychologically probably feels good because I don't know that they both had 20 in the same game yet. It might have happened before, but it really felt like they both had really good games together. I think Trey was like 8 for 16, so he was efficient, or 8 for 15. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed the performance tonight. So I think this is something that they can. Ideally, you'd have some rest, but yeah, going into the Celtics, I think this is probably the type of performance you want to have. You got some rest for Trey, and I think everybody's feeling good.
You know, I think this is the most impressive win of the season so far because I think the first two wins we kind of won in spite of some things. There were some surprises, but Jalen didn't play well. Um, but I think this is one of those games where Jalen and Trey kind of led to the win. Both guys. I think Chris posted on Twitter. I think it was what is it, 52 points and 20 total assists between them two. When they do that, it's going to be hard for us to lose those kinds of games when they combine for 50 points and 20 assists. It's just going to be hard for us to lose those games, especially since both of them were, I believe both of them were over 50% from the field. Yeah, both of them being over 50% from the field, we're just not going to lose a lot of those games. And also, yeah, both teams had some hospital lineups, but it was still a road game. First half of a back to back, and it it I don't think we didn't lead wire to wire or anything, but it never felt like the game kind of got out of control. I think it was a well coached game, and your two biggest players played well, and that's why I think it's the best win in the season. I think the Hornets win, cool. It was good to get that monkey off our back. I said that in the last pod, as well as the Nets game. It was nice to get that first win of the season, but with all the adversity that we've gone through as a team since then, or the Hawks have gone through since then, to get that win, to break the losing streak, I think it's the most impressive win of the short season for sure. What about you, Ant? What you think?
Well, I agree also that I think this was the most impressive win of the season. Like I said, I think they managed to do like all the stuff they wanted to do. Generally, they played defense really well. Like this is the game that they scored. I think. Oh, let me check real quick. Yeah, this is the lowest scoring game for like any opponent they had against the Hawks, and especially considering that Ingram had scored 32 points. I thought their defense played incredibly well. Like everyone else mentioned as well, Trey was really efficient as along with Jalen, who didn't even hit a three, but still managed to get almost a triple double. So it's just stuff like that just make you see this vision of the Hawks as just being this really good defensive team in the future if they can manage to get all their pieces right. And it's just, I feel like, especially with all these injuries, just seeing the fight back with this team right now is, I think it's really exciting to see what happens when this team gets fully healthy and see how they can compete right now. They're only the 7th seed, and they're just literally one game away from being 500. So anything could happen right now. So
No, I think these are valuable minutes for Zach and Jalen and these guys because I think when Bogey and Dre are there, they're naturally going to defer to them a little bit. So right now, the wins and losses are truly on them, and I think that having that pressure early in the season is going to pay off when all's said and done.
Yeah, I want to my bad. Want to piggyback on the 7 seed thing. I actually decided to look at the standings today because we're 7 games in, so I feel like I can gauge it. Was not too crazy. The only 2 teams that are real like East threats right now are the Cavs and the Celtics. After that, we literally win 2 games, we're third seed. That's kind of how the East has been going so far. Nobody
What did I say? What did I say?
It's really early.
What did I say?
It's early. That's what it's early. It's early. That's what I'm saying. But right now, the East is kind of beat up. So
yeah, it's the some of the teams that were expected to be at the top are really injured, and if you can get wins right now, it's something that's going to pay off.
And so are we.
Yeah, we're just as injured.
No,
but like Orlando with Banchero, he's out for a good little minute. He's got to get our next 2 are hard, but after that, you have a chance to get back into the consistent column.
Yeah.
And with the not Dre, with Zach and Jalen right now, Bogey being out is probably the best thing for Zach. Might sound a little weird, but Zach will have the opportunity to finally get those shots up because when Bogey comes back, a lot of the shots will be allocated back towards him. So you getting used to this speed and game right now is valuable in my eyes.
He's still gonna. I'm not gonna say he's still gonna get. He's not gonna get this many shots up, right? But when Bogey's back, like Quinn's not gonna say, "Oh, stop shooting threes if you're open." Like he still wants everybody to shoot threes if they're open.
Yeah.
He might be in the corner more, and honestly, his 3-point percentage might go up a lot.
That's where he belongs.
Yeah, that's his hot zone, and I think his ability to attack closeouts play up a little bit more when Bogey's there. There'll be more spacing. I think we have a lot of slashers right now around Trey and Dyson, Zach, and Jalen who all want to get downhill. I think
that's why we
Dre,
did everything
Bogey,
in the paint tonight. Everything came in the paint tonight.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It says you got up 30. I think we only got up 36 because we were just getting everything we wanted at the rim.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Pelicans were little. A lot of their bigger guys were out, so it was great to see the guys like really take advantage of that. And I mean, we have some guys that really like to extend advantages, and that's something I've noticed from Zach early on. Like he's trying to get to the rim if he's got a smaller guy on him. Dyson and Jalen too. So it's good to see. Process right now, man. It's all it's about. It's the process.
It's all about
it's
the
good
process.
To see the process.
The process was consistently good tonight, and the process was all right in the Kings game too. And I think, being able to come back and make that a game helped them, be able to bring something positive into this game that they played tonight against the Pelicans. So, yeah.
Yep.
Keaton Wallace.
This is an important season because games like this young team learning how to win and like get a lead, like they had a lead early, lost it, got it back, and then put the game away. And that's something that like winning is a habit, right? And like knowing like you can win a game in the third quarter like this is something that this young team, like the more they do that, man, it's just going to pay off in the long run.
Yep. Will be scary post All-Star break. Y'all already know about those post All-Star Hawks.
Yeah.
2-3 months, Zach won't be a rookie anymore, man. After New Year's, he's going to be much more experienced.
He's going from yeast to a full-on baguette.
Yeast to... okay.
I did it. I had to. I'm sorry.
You lucky there's not a space, man. I'd be on the soundboard crazy right now.
All right.
Well,
Anthony.
Okay. But
at least Ant thought it was funny.
But now, okay, so we talked a bit about the injuries on this team. Leon mentioned Bogey, or was it Marco? Well, we mentioned Bogey, who is currently injured. Like he has a hamstring injury right now. I do want to go into more about the injury stats of a bunch of our players right now. So, because currently, right now, we have four pieces of this rotation basically injured, and we really don't know when they're going to come back. Veet's injured with a shoulder injury. Um, Kobe's injured with a shoulder injury. Onyeka has a left toe injury that he is currently recovering from. He comes back like, oh no, I'm phrasing it wrong. He does play games, but they arrest him in back to backs right now. And who else am I forgetting?
Dre.
Yep. Dre also has a knee injury, which has been listed as just injury management, but we really don't know what's going on right now with him. So, how do you guys think these injuries are going to affect the Hawks in the future right now, honestly? Because to me, we did find some players in like these past four games that can help the lineup like succeed, but other players like Bogey, I think, are going to be needed for like more games. Like, I think the Celtics tomorrow, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Hawks handle it in the future. I'll start with you, Chris.
About the injuries, yeah. I mean, I think uh the test has been good, right? Hopefully we can get the guys back. I think Dre, he was questionable for tonight, so it's potential we get him back soon. I think that just really lengthens the rotation so much. I think just not having to give Jalen 38 minutes, right? That's the next thing, is getting Jalen to a reasonable load so that he's not getting overstretched and he can be a bit more aggressive throughout the game. I think he like still getting his wind and being overextended has kind of been rough on him. Um, you want to see Dre just because he's a natural spacer in that starting lineup, and you'd be able to get threes up a bit more. So hope we can get those guys back and things can just run a bit more smoother, and the guys can just attack more consistently throughout the game. Just knowing that they have that extra help.
Um, um, the injuries suck very much. Injuries suck. Can't do anything about them. Can't really whatever. I hate that it happened so early in the season because my 7-3 projection is very much out the window. But um, Bogey is the hamstring. We'll get him back. It's been a week since they did that announcement. We'll get him back soon. But the positive of the injuries is other guys got to step up and prove their worth. Nobody is going to sit here and tell me that David Roddy was the player we are watching right now. You can't. Nobody's going to sit here and tell me that Keaton Wallace is, what we see now. Like, he shocked me. Keaton Wallace has been my favorite player so far. Because I definitely was. I wasn't high on him in the beginning, but we probably would have never seen this if the injury to Kobe didn't happen. As much as that hurts to say or sucks to say, um, whatever. The I don't think his was a shoulder injury. I thought he did something with his hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a correction. It was a thigh injury. Yeah, I'm looking at the report right now. It's a thigh injury.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's like the abductor or the adductor. Yeah, it's gonna be a minute
Yeah,
on that. Those are hard to work out because they're constantly contracted muscles, so it's just gonna take some time.
But yeah, appreciate that. But like I said, the injuries, as much as they suck, we have players. It shows somewhat of our death. I will say that. Still sucks that their top guys is out. But like I said, the injuries gave us new looks at new players. Um, a lot of people are finally seeing why we got Nance. That's the good part I see in all of this. A lot of people are trying to be like, we don't need to keep Nance. We don't need to do this with Nance. But if you can have two centers that can somewhat scratch the floor, I don't see why we're mad at it. Don't see why we would hate it, whatever. But yeah, injuries are injuries. They'll happen. Just gotta hope that we get Dre back faster, and I'll be a little bit more confident in a lot of the games moving forward.
The injuries, you can look at those Washington games and say the injuries really hurt us, but it was really good, and it's going to be really good for the young guys to have more onus over the outcome of games. Like Chris said, especially when it comes to guys like Jalen and Ricochet. And, we kind of found something with Keaton Wallace across the last couple games. He's kind of lets the game come to him. He's got good lateral movement. He's pretty athletic, which helps him out defensively, where he is a pretty good defender, 6'4", 200. So good combo guard size. Can if him and Jalen are on the floor, he can kind of help run that offense when Trey's off, as well as kind of play off the ball when Trey's on. So he's looked really good for us, and that's something we probably wouldn't have been able to see had these injuries not happened. So that's just kind of another thing you can put in your toolbox. But yeah, we gotta have Dre back to really put this defense up. Because currently, when David Roddy's on the floor, the Hawks have 124 defensive rating. That's pretty horrific through any amount of games, especially considering the teams against which he has played. Wizards 2 games, like basically half his minutes have been against the Wizards. So, um, you know, it's tough. We really don't want Trey to be playing all these minutes, but that's nice to see Keaton. He only got 31 minutes tonight, which is going to be good going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. We don't know when we're getting guys back, but there's a silver line to everything. This year was always going to be about 1, 10, and 11. So um, being able to see those guys on the floor a lot together in situations that aren't ideal, especially offensively, without the spacing of guys like Dre and Dyson, and seeing them work through that as a unit has been big the last couple games. And I can say with certainty they've gotten better at that across these 4 games. First was game to the second one, some really good stretches against the Kings, along with some pretty bad stretches, and a pretty complete game tonight. Despite what the box score might say about some guys, so it's tough to not be at full strength, but it shows that they put together a pretty good roster that could not fall apart when these injuries hit, despite how not ideal it is right now.
Yeah, I agree because generally, I think in the last few seasons, if something like this were to happen, the team would generally just fall apart for the most part, and they probably wouldn't have been able to make a close comeback like in the Kings game, where they basically had a lead before they ended up losing it, or they may have lost against the Hospital Pelicans. So I think this fight back and the sacrifice they're showing during these like past few games, I think it's huge for the development of this team, like you said, Leon. What are your thoughts, Chris?
No, yeah, it's been great to see. Like, I mean, you're seeing guys that probably would be on the bench when they're trying to come back, like really get minutes, right? So that's what's good. It's you want to win those games, but no, like with such a young team, like you could easily have seen them lose 10 straight, but to bounce back tonight and Brandon Ingram gave them like a run for their money, right? Every time Dyson sat, like he was trying to get his team back in the game, and they were down going into the third quarter. So to see them come out in the third quarter, like and really win that, be the mentally stronger team, right? They clearly talked about some things. They had some plays that they wanted to run, some looks that they clearly seen. Dyson got a lob. Clint had a nice stretch. I think he had a dunk, I think, to open the second half. So no, yeah, I mean, we saw them lose some guys last season and like just absolutely lose an entire month. So to see them cut that losing streak to 3 and get one, especially before the Celtics game, I think that was big. for them mentally. I think they even though they went 1-3, I think they feel good about how they handled that and getting Dyson back. I think definitely had the boys juiced up, and he played really well. Zach played well. He's been really good defensively. Just he's like a couple dunks away from his stat lines looking really good. Yeah, Jalen has quietly had a really strong stretch.
Yeah, I do want to talk more about Jalen because I Jalen did have a really slow start up to the season. There was a lot of criticism about Jalen not really being that aggressive and not really scoring that much. His defense, I've seen people calling him lazy Z on defense and stuff. I think there's obviously some still problems with his defense sometimes, but I think these past 4 games he showed that like he's been improving a lot and showing that he can be that second option next to Trey on this team. Like this last game, he put up 29 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and it's the first time, and he's became the 8th player in the steals and blocks era, 22 years or younger, to have those numbers since LeBron, Luca, Zeke, or Clyde Drexler. Like he's putting up historic numbers, and he did this all without even hitting a three. So imagine what happens when he manages to hits his shots from three. Like I think his improvement during these past few games has been really good. What's your thoughts, Marco?
I've been telling people stop. People were ready to count him out 2 games in, and I always found that weird. But it was always going to be a adjustment period for Jalen. Like I said, we kind of did throw him in the second option role because last year teams weren't really playing him. He was not a top priority on teams' list. They're worried about Trey and DeJounte. But now that teams are focused on Trey and DeJounte, it opened up Jalen to get the 16 points that he got last year and some other stuff because, again, he wasn't a part of the team's game plan. Now, this year, Jalen started off realizing that teams have to play him now. He's getting used to that defense actually coming at him, and all this other stuff. He's getting used to being a true second option, and him being more of a scoring role he's kind of had to build it up. In these last 4 games, I think one of those games he had 17 boards in the Wizards. I think it was the first game against the Wizards. Jalen's getting comfortable. He's realizing he is the second option, and he realized he is 6'10". So that's all I need him to do. He's shooting horrible from three right now on the season. He's 25%. I expect it to go up. I think we all only projected him to shoot like 32, 33%, 33% from three this year anyways. So if he can get it back up to that, that's fine with me because there's not many people stopping him when he drives to the hole and he realizes he can go in strong. So Jalen's been fine for me. Like I said, it's as much as the whole team is an adjustment period. Everybody has to get used to new roles. Everybody has to get used to this and that and the third. So I like what I've been seeing from Jalen. That's my dog.
Outside of the first 2 games, Jalen's been pretty good on offense. Like Chris said earlier, it's really more of a process thing. Um, and first 2 games, it was clear he was trying to be really physical and having varying levels of success with that. But he's gonna get better, and he has gotten better. Like I said, I think tonight he played his best game of the season against the Pelicans, letting the game come to him, but also taking the game at different points. Yeah, I still think he's lost on defense sometimes. I think he's lazy on defense sometimes. I think he doesn't put his hand up on closeouts with a level of consistency that bothers me long term. And the three ball is not something that I'm super worried about. But the hand is up and he has more onus on the offense and he's playing big minutes. So I expect that to kind of level out, especially when we get more guys back. What about you, Chris? What do you think? What have you seen from Jalen? Jalen's growth in the last in this early season as his number two option status.
Sorry, I had to switch out my mic real quick. You guys can hear me, right? All right. Well, no. So I think you don't. So when Dre was there the first couple games, I think it was easy for Jalen to kind of be a good teammate and get off the ball and kind of defer. But without Dre and Bogey there, these last few games, he realizes like the onus is truly on him, and I think that kind of forced him to really find his spots and really just force the issue a bit more, which is something that we all have wanted to see from Jalen. And he really has risen to the occasion, right? He's providing the offense that they need from him. Even when Trey wasn't on for one of those games, Jalen has been consistent. I think the last four he's averaging like 23 points a game, around 10 rebounds and some like 7 assists. So he's giving you like rare production from that position. The type of stuff Jalen's doing right now is like all-star stuff. The stat line he put up tonight to be in that group, like what, like 8 guys all time. Like there's been about 5,000 dudes I think play in the NBA. So when you're on a list that short and it's full of real names, like I don't know that there was one like no like rando nobody that ain't red, right? So Jalen is like really like hooping right now, right? He's balling, and as much as you want the record to kind of be a little bit prettier. Um, Individually, he's seeing the results, and that's got to be good for him mentally. And yeah, it's been good to watch, especially tonight. I think you really got to see Jalen Johnson attack the rim. That was a true like Jabron Johnson performance. That's the 2010 and 5 guy. And yeah, no, I love Jalen Ball.
Now I do. Now let's move on to the player that everyone's been waiting to discuss, Keaton Wallace. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I feel like he is probably one of the most important players that has emerged from this 4 game stretch. I feel like that may be a little reactionary, but I think that considering the fact that we didn't really have any real backup point guard until King Wallace showed up, him being able to play like actual good point guard minutes, like that's huge for this team. Like it will allow this team to not let Trey play for 40 plus minutes. It will allow this team to have like consistently good backup Trey minutes, hopefully. And Keen Wallace is a good defender. And he can shoot the 3 ball. And he can get steals. And like there's so many good things you can say, I think, about Keen Wallace. Like I can't say enough about him. I'll start with Chris. You can go first, Chris.
No, yeah, I tweeted earlier that Keaton needs to go ahead and get himself a nice real estate agent and try to find him a nice plot of land somewhere just outside of the city, build him a house because he's going to be in Atlanta for a long time if he keeps playing the way he's playing. I think one of the biggest things in the Trey Young era is finding a backup point guard that can do a lot of the things that Keaton's been doing. He's defending the ball. He can pick up full court if you need to, but he can lock up point guards, and he's hitting his threes. He's moving the ball well. We saw him get into his bag a little bit tonight. Like they were playing him on his back hip. He just like, all right, I'm gonna take this layup and get to the rim. So no, it's been great to see what Keaton's been doing. I don't know that he would have got these minutes if the opportunity didn't come to him, but when you see guys get opportunities like this, you really want to see them take advantage of it, and it's been great to see. I know he's happy, his family's happy. I'm sure his brother's happy. Yeah, everybody. I'm happy. I'm sure Trey's happy, right? He got to sit down tonight. Trey's been like playing like 38 minutes a game, like something crazy
40
for
minutes for 3 straight games.
yeah, 40. Yeah, that's unsustainable, and that's gonna get Trey hurt, right? When a guy like hurts his right leg, and then he comes back and like his left leg has been overcompensating, and that gets hurt too. That's what's been happening with our players, right? When you're getting over leveraged in minutes, like you're going to get hurt. So thankfully, Trey was able to get some rest, and hopefully Keaton keeps this up so Quinn feels comfortable about letting Trey sit down. And yeah, so yeah, I love Keaton, and I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, Keaton Wallace, man, just shout out Ryan Schmidt first and foremost. I think that the kind of synergy that we have, but that we had last season going into this season with the G League team, and guys spending time in the G and being prepared to come up to the main roster is big. When you have that synergy, you're running the same thing, you're pushing the same principles to your guys, you're preaching the same stuff to your guys. He looks like he belongs out there because he's not learning a new offense or learning a new defense. He's learning new teammates a little bit, some new players, but more talent out there on the floor with him for sure. He's 25 years old. I think Bob said it in the last game. In during the last game, he played like 125 college games and over 100 G League games. So he's played. You know, a lot of people have varying degrees of how good they feel about the G League or what it means, but um, the point is for you to develop so that one day you can be a useful NBA player because you're not ready yet. And now he's 25 years old. He's backing up, at least for the foreseeable future, one of the best point guards in the game. And he's making the most of those minutes. Outside of tonight, he was shooting what 61% from the field, 60% from three. He didn't shoot great tonight, but I think one of the main things with that is the one three that he shot was heavily contested, right? And that's something, and I think throughout the rest of the game, he kind of used that to get into the lane, create advantages, create 2 on 3s and 4 on 5s. So he's playing a lot of basketball. He really knows how to play the game. And the fact that he's 25 right now means next season, if we do decide to pay him, we're gonna get his whole prime for like $50 million, and he's probably gonna be a really good player in this league for a while as long as he stays healthy. So, um, yeah, I think you're right, Ant. That has been the most important discovery of the last 4 games because David Roddy's still 6'4", so it is what it is. Everybody else was pretty much a known quantity to some degree, but when you can get a guy on a two-way who just got the two-way, he's been unaffiliated, as they say, just on the G League roster up until summer league when they gave him the two-way to kind of see semi-immediate dividends on an NBA floor from a two-way guy is big. So he's been a revelation for sure. Think I don't think we get back into the Kings game without him. I don't think we might win this game without him, but I don't know. I mean, who would be playing the guard minutes? I mean, Dyson back up point. Dyson plays 40 minutes if not for Keaton Wallace tonight. So
Hey,
um,
Veet and Keaton, by the way, back-to-back years, the Hawks are discovering like random G League players and turning
this
them
is
into
how you do it. This is how you do it,
And they,
man.
they never did this before until Quinn came in. You gotta remember that development.
I know it matters. Draft and develop. Marco, thoughts on Keaton? Thoughts on
um,
K Dub? Oh, we gotta call him K Dub. I'm into it. K
um,
Dub.
Keaton has been nice. He's been a nice discovery. Like I said, I didn't know much about Keaton coming into the season. Um, I know he was pretty solid down there in College Park, but never really thought I needed to pay attention to him as much as I need to now. That backup point guard position, I've said it, in our little chats, whatever. That backup point guard position is interesting now because not trying to diss Kobe or anything, but if Keaton can get more comfortable in that role running that offense, don't even get, if Keaton can get more comfortable running the offense in that role, it's
Man,
getting
Marco, just
Hey,
say it.
hey, thank God Kobe's a shooting guard.
Yeah.
it's going to get
I
scary
mean,
because like his three
like,
point, he shoots the ball like clean. His shot is clean. Like it looks similar to his brother's shot, but literally he did a pull up from the midi, no hesitation over somebody
yeah,
taller, fade away from the midi, nothing but net. The Kings game, Bro was on one. He hit multiple threes like it was nothing, like no hesitation. He's not scared to score anything, and he plays defense.
Right.
That's all.
Right now, I think the backup point guard spot is clearly Keen's spot until
It is
Kobe takes
Keaton's
it.
role. No, it is Keaton's job to lose. If Keaton
Yeah,
keeps playing like this,
exactly.
if Keaton keeps playing like this at a decent clip, and it can give Trey enough rest to where Trey doesn't have to keep playing 40 minutes, because like Clear said, that's not sustainable. That's an injury waiting to happen, and we definitely cannot afford a Trey injury this early. If he keeps going like this, you got to have some type of discussions. One side is nice that we can have two guards that can back up Trey. The other side is like, wow, who do I want to play? Do I want to play Keaton? Do I want to play Kobe? What do we do with Kobe? If Kobe gets another injury, that's a wrap. I don't care. That's Keaton's spot. That's how it is. How it is. But like I said, highlight. That's 2 years in a row we found a diamond in the rough from G League. Hoping we get a big from G League soon.
And that was part 1 of episode 8 of Hard Knock Hawks, everybody. The second part should be available on your platform of choice to listen to. Thank you for listening, and see you in part 2.